Dribbling have released their Paris Limited Edition stick. The stick is crafted with Japanese Toray carbon to give it a stiff feel on the ball for responsive dribbling and high power transfer for shooting at goal. The stick features this unique textured pattern along the back and on the face of the stick. The stick has a 97% carbon construction with Kevlar inserts to increase the hitting power. The stick I have is 37.5 inches in length and is the Lowbow version. My stick weighed in at 522 grams with a balance point 39 centimeters from the head of the stick. This is a Lowbow profile, so it has a 24mm bow with a maximum bow point located 200mm from the head of the stick. This profile leans towards flicking but retains some of the versatility for all-round game without having a groove on the shaft. The stick is really well designed to help with flicking, with the Lowbow shape combined with the angle of the face, making it very easy to get under the ball. So the feel on the ball with this stick is fantastic. It's got a really nice touch compound on the head of the stick, which runs all the way up to the bottom of the B. So it's got quite a nice area for the touch compound to have effect. That makes the stick really good for controlling the ball and keeping it glued to the head of the stick, but it's also fantastic for trapping as it kills any spin on the ball. Because the touch compound is so good, it's really good for when you're on the ball, carrying the ball, moving it around, making big lateral drags and keeping the ball glued to the head of the stick. Because it has got a really aggressive Lowbow, it is important that you have to focus on getting your hands over the ball when receiving it to keep it under control. If you don't do that, the ball will travel up the stick and lift into the air. But as long as you can keep that under control, the stick is fantastic for dribbling with. So this stick is absolutely fantastic for hitting. Because it's got quite a low weight and a high balance point, I wasn't really expecting much, but the amount of power that you can generate with this stick is really fantastic, especially taking the weight into consideration. It's got a really big sweet spot and I was always able to get a clean connection. Because the power transfer is so good, you have to focus on making sure that you get your hands in front of the ball. Because of how aggressive the Lowbow is, the face angle is also quite aggressive as well, and that causes the ball to lift. But as long as you can keep your hands in front of the ball, you can hit flat along the ground consistently, and because of the sweet spot being so big, you always get a clean connection and that gives you amazing accuracy when shooting. If you do hit with the ball level with your hands or just in front, it does cause it to lift, but that makes it fantastic for finding top corners. So when you're shooting at goal, you can easily just let the ball get a little bit in front of you or rock your hands back slightly to hit through the bottom of the ball and fire it into the roof of the net with that high power transfer. So on reverse, the edge is a little bit thinner than other sticks that I've reviewed recently. It's not really thin, it's probably what I would call an average thickness for the reverse edge, but because of that it gives you amazing control over the height when shooting on your reverse stick. Because of how thin it is, you've got real precision of picking out the exact point of the ball where you want to hit, and that means that you can either hit through the middle of the ball to keep it flat, or you can hit into the underside of the ball to lift it up. The power transfer on reverse is also fantastic. As with a lot of sticks, you probably get a little bit more power transfer when hitting on the edge just because of the small impact point transferring a little bit more momentum through the ball. Because it's a high carbon stick, it's got fantastic power transfer on reverse as well. Hitting through that edge gives you a great deal of power, meaning you can absolutely fire the ball into the bottom corners, or if you're wanting to ping a pass along the ground to a teammate running in for the back post or down the line, it's fantastic for that as well. Because the edge is so thin, when combined with that high carbon power transfer, it is very easy to get under the ball too much and cause it to lift over the goal. Now this is something that I found for the first couple of sessions, but then after that I got more consistent with it and got more used to the stick, and I found it happen maybe once a session. So it's something that you definitely adapt to as you use the stick more and more, but it is something to be aware of when you first get the stick out. So flicking is where this stick really shines. It's got that aggressive Lowbow profile and it gives that really nice face angle, so it makes it great for getting under the ball. Combine that with the touch compound on the face means it's fantastic for lifting. whether that's lifting the ball over a stick to beat a defender and using 3D skills, or you're playing a lifted pass into space for a teammate. Because the ball stays glued to the head of the stick with that touch compound, it gives you amazing confidence and accuracy when releasing the ball. But where this stick really stands out is when it comes to shooting. Because you can get under the ball so easily and you have such confidence in the touch compound keeping the ball glued to the head of the stick, you can pick your spot, whether that's firing it into the roof of the net or just lifting it over a diving goalkeeper for a little lob finish. This stick was really fantastic for flicking, and especially when taking on flicked shots. Being an extreme low bow, this stick is also fantastic for throwing overhead passes. Because of the extreme bow, you can get under the ball very easily and you can whip through to add a great deal of distance to your overhead. I was easily throwing the ball over half a pitch with accuracy. Because of that touch compound keeping the ball glued to the head of the stick, I had amazing confidence in not only the direction that I was putting on the ball, but also the angle that I was throwing the overhead. So I could confidently throw the ball really high to land onto a teammate's stick, or low to bounce into space, and I had great confidence in maintaining that distance as well. So sometimes when you throw a higher overhead, you lose a great deal of distance, but I found with this stick, I was able to be really consistent with both high and low aerials, landing them accurately to my teammates over, as I say, about half a pitch. So this profile is fantastic for drag flicking. The touch compound on the head makes it fantastic for picking the ball up. So in the early stages when you collect the ball for the drag flick, whether the ball has been trapped perfectly or if it's spinning, the touch compound picks it up effortlessly as you move through and brings the ball under control really quickly. That gives you a great deal of control when you take it into the drag phase. So you can move the ball up the head of the stick, into the shaft, and really utilize the biggest part of the bow to generate a lot of power. Because of how aggressive the bow is, the power is all generated towards the end of the drag, just before the release of the flick. Because of that, you have a great deal of control over deception and direction. So with the grippy touch compound, as it rolls back down the stick and gets back into contact with that touch compound, you have great control over it, whether that's playing a slider pass to deceive the goalkeeper or a huge drag to pull it round to the goalkeeper's right. The ball stays glued to the head of the stick and it gives you amazing confidence when taking on a drag flick. As you get into the flicking phase of the drag flick, the touch compound comes back into play, getting the ball held up on the head of the stick, giving you amazing control over accuracy. So you just have to push through the ball to maintain all that power, and you can accurately fire the ball into the corner. The stick also features this white head of the stick, which may also add a little bit of deception onto your drag flicks, which can help. So this is my first time using a balling stick, and they were kind enough to send me the Paris Special Edition, which I don't usually comment on graphics, but I think looks absolutely fantastic. The stick also features a textured pattern into the graphics, which gives you amazing grip on the ball even in the wet, just because there's little ridges that your hands can grip onto. So in terms of performance, the stick has fantastic power transfer even for a low weight, so you always know that you've got enough power to take on the shot and can beat the goalkeeper. It's also fantastic for dribbling with. The touch compound is amazing on this stick, and it gives you great confidence taking the ball under pressure and keeping it under control. And it also is fantastic for drag flicking as well. This stick has fantastic power transfer, especially for the weight. I don't think I've used many sticks that have this much power on both open and reverse stick. Gives you a great deal of confidence taking the ball under pressure and taking it onto a shot. The stick is obviously fantastic for flicking, being an extreme low bow, but even among the extreme low bows, because it's so aggressive, it gives you fantastic power output when flicking or drag flicking, and so I absolutely would recommend trying this stick if you can get your hands on it. Doesn't necessarily have to be the Paris edition, but if you can, I think it's a fantastic looking stick, so why not go for that? If you can get to a shop, get your hands on a balling stick from a teammate, give it a go. I think it's something that you really will like. If you do want to support me further, you can head over to my website, which is bossfhockey.com. You can join as a member there or on Patreon. It starts from just £1 a month. It gives you early access, it gives you bonus entries into giveaways wherever I run them, and it helps me do things like these reviews. Or you can go to bossfhockey.com and you can buy some Boss F Hockey merch. I have t-shirts, I have grips, I have hats. All that money goes towards funding these reviews, getting my hands on more sticks, and getting more information out to you.